We are tonight's entertainment.
You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Excellent!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk films past, present, and future. I'm Sherman Trey White of Podcast Media, and joining me is the man, the myth, the legend. He's my no-good, scruffy-looking nerf herder, Bandit Incorporated.
What? Hello, and aren't we so glad that for all that praying we did to the Apple God, because the Apple God has smiled on us. And finally, we are now here on iTunes. We were here on iTunes a lot sooner than I thought because they didn't send me an email.
No.
We just appeared.
Yes. And how convenient that
it's
in the same month of the Steve Jobs movie coming out. How convenient, Apple. Cross promotion.
Yes.
I watched Family Guy. Speaking of that, of the intro, I watched Family Guy, The Empire Strikes Back parody, and Lois called him the nerf herder. And then he punched her and said, "You can't use that word. Only we can use that word." So I like to think that nerf herder is the N word of the Star Wars universe. So
I know, it's like, I can make jokes about dingoes stealing babies, but you can't. It's the same thing.
Dingo stealing babies?
Yeah, the dingo stole my baby. You never heard that joke?
I've heard
it literally hundreds of times. Whenever anyone who's not Australian has heard of Australia, they say that, and I'm like, please shut up.
So is I gotta ask, is Outback like the McDonald's of Australia? Because I've never been. No, it just
means the desert, like the.
No, I mean like the
countryside.
restaurant, like the Outback restaurant. Is that like the McDonald's of Australia?
We don't have Outback here.
You don't have Outback?
No, not even Outback do we have Outback. We have McDonald's. We have plenty of that, but we call it Macca's.
Oh, yeah. Well, in the U.S., you're never more than 50 miles away from a McDonald's. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's why we're all fat.
Yes, I put a post on the Facebook and the Twitter saying, hey, we're not on iTunes yet, but, if you click on the link here, you can listen to us on Soundcloud. And the first comment was like, you are on iTunes. I downloaded it yesterday, and I was like, oh. Thanks for telling me, iTunes. I was stressing. I'm like, what have I done wrong?
They're too busy making pencils and not fixing their chargers to email you.
That's right.
Okay, so let's get into the movie news.
Oh, do you want to give an overview of what our channel, of what our episode
oh my God,
is?
That's right. Yes. Well, today, after we get through the movie news, we're going to be talking about the films of Ridley Scott. You might be thinking, who's Ridley Scott? Well, Bandit, who is Ridley Scott?
Well, he's one of the biggest name directors out there, basically. However, there are those who haven't seen many of his movies, or maybe don't know that they've seen Ridley Scott movies, like Trey.
Listen.
Who only saw Blade Runner for the first time in preparing for this episode.
6 hours ago. Yeah.
But anyway, for those of you who don't know who he is, he's made tons of movies. He's most well known for like Blade Runner, making the original Alien. He's made Prometheus. He's making the upcoming Alien Paradise Lost, which is a sequel to Prometheus.
We'll get to that. Yeah,
he's making The Martian that comes out next week with Matt Damon. Is his next movie.
Which is why we're doing the episode.
He's done Kingdom of Heaven, Gladiator, Thelma and Louise, Black Hawk Down. He's done American Gangster. He's done Robin Hood. He's done Body of Lies. All those Russell Crowe movies. Exodus, Gods and Kings. He's done so many movies.
And I have not seen any. I'm scrolling through the IMDb, and I have not seen
G.I. Jane. You seen that? Legend.
Nope.
You seen that?
Nope. I warned you last week. I'm like, I need to do some research, and I had time to watch one Ridley Scott movie, and I went with Blade Runner.
What about Hannibal, where he eats the guy's brains while he's still alive?
I've seen that scene where she wakes up, because my dad was watching the day where she wakes up, and we'll get to it, but where she wakes up and like he's cutting off the skull. I'm just sitting there like, oh
yeah. So that is Ridley Scott, everyone. We're going to be talking about him today. So
let's get into the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Starting off, Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen. The rumor is that he is being trained to be a part of Star Wars Episode 8. Your thoughts? I mean, why? Why?
I have heard a rumor that the story is going to be Kylo Ren is trying to clone Darth Vader. Yeah. So if that's true, it makes perfect sense that Hayden Christensen is going to be in the next episode.
If that's the case, they could do like a Lord of the Rings kind of thing of like how they're trying to bring back Sauron. Maybe his whole thing is like they're trying to stop Kylo Ren from bringing back Vader, and maybe that's why he fails or they fail and Vader's back in episode 8.
Ren's going to be so disappointed when he clones him, expecting this legendary Sith, and he just gets this whining. Obi-Wan doesn't understand me. Yeah.
Like he comes out.
He's like, "Oh, how many Jedis did you kill?" He's like, "Well, I killed a bunch of little kids." Yeah. He's like, "No, I mean like proper Jedi. I fought Obi-Wan." Yeah, how'd that go? I got my arms and legs cut off, and I was burned in fire. He's like, "You're a terrible Sith." You fought Luke Skywalker, right? I mean, what kind of that? Oh yeah, that's right. In the original, he fought Obi-Wan and Luke, and he beat them both.
No, I mean like he comes him back, and then he's just like, "Oh, I'm the best era. I stop people from dying. I hate sand. It gets everywhere." But he's like, "I got a better idea. I'm going to clone Boba Fett. He's awesome." Yes,
and he clones him, and he just flies directly into a Sarlacc, and he's like, "What is going on?"
And it's like the Looney Tunes cartoon with Daffy Duck, and like how the backgrounds keep changing, and then it cuts to Bugs Bunny at the computer.
But you know what?
It's Gene Roddenberry, creator of Star Trek, messing with the Star Wars franchise. Yeah. No, but you're saying, yeah.
But as much as we make fun of Hayden Christensen from the prequels, like, I've always believed that if those scripts were actually good, he could have done a good job.
Absolutely not.
If he is in episode 8, it would be great to actually see him with... I mean, how could it be worse than the stuff he had to say in the prequels? So yeah, maybe he could finally give us a good version of the Vader that we wanted to see from the prequels.
Listen, I mean... Look, Rian Johnson's a great director. I love Looper, even if it doesn't make any sense, but I have this Back to the Future, so get over it. Like, you know, it's a great movie. It's well written, well directed. Rian Johnson's going to be great for episode 8. It's probably going to be the darkest Star Wars film we've gotten ever. But Hayden Christensen's not a good actor. And we talked about Jumper last week. He's not good in that, in my opinion. He's not good in that in the prequels, you know. And I don't want to see him in this. I really don't want to see Darth Vader get cloned. That seems kind of pointless.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like I think we spoke about this last week as well, or like maybe it was actually all the way back in episode 1. But like, we're happy to see old characters, but at the same time, just give us new characters, just give us a new story. It doesn't all need to focus around Vader
Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis. Darth Plagueis.
Yes.
Darth Plagueis.
That's what I want.
Thrawn. Admiral Thrawn. Admiral Thrawn. Yes.
Mr. Blue Man. Yes.
Oh my god. Get Michael Fassbender as Admiral Thrawn. Oh.
Actually, I found a picture of like Benedict Cumberbatch photoshopped as Admiral Thrawn.
Well, we don't. Great. I don't want I don't want the batch of Cumber in my Star Wars. I want him to stay in Marvel because he's going to be great as Stephen Strange.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Doctor Strange.
Yeah. So that's that. It's probably not going to happen, but it's something that we should probably have touched on.
Or it could be a flashback or something like that.
Yeah, but then again, David Prowse isn't doing anything. I mean, he's like, you think he's been screwed over so many times. David Prowse, for you guys that don't know, is the man who was the physical form of Darth Vader in the original trilogy. James Earl Jones did the voice, who was also Mufasa. David Prowse was the actual Darth Vader. If you're watching the show, you probably know that. And as you may also know, George Lucas very much screwed David Prowse out of a lot of earnings pre and post Star Wars. Like, they have this weird legal thing. Yeah, like they have this weird legal thing where they say like he gets a profit of either I think Empire or Jedi, but the lawyers of Lucasfilm have done like some sketchy lawyer stuff to where they don't technically make a profit off the movie but off the merchandise. So that profit does not go to Prowse. And so Prowse hasn't gotten a lot from Star Wars. And so, like, if they're doing anything, like, they're like Rogue One, if you're bringing Vader back in Rogue One or in Episode 8, at least give Prowse a chance to shine. Come on, guys. Let's not be dicks about this, okay?
Absolutely.
Come on, yeah, like...
Yeah, I mean, that's... Imagine that. Imagine Prowse. He's like,
but
he's
but
doing
because he
doing
didn't
Star
know.
Wars, and
Yeah.
and they're like, instead of paying you, we can give you a cut of, the overall profits. And he's like, oh my god, that's an amazing deal.
Yeah.
And then the fine print says, actually, it's not a cut of the overall gross; it's a cut of the overall profit after expenses. Yeah. And they can divide up the expenses however they want, so it looks like they never make a profit and they don't have to pay him. So you just go from like woohoo to like oh.
I imagine like he reads a newspaper and it's like George Lucas gets $4 billion for selling Star Wars to Disney, and he's just like, George, like you're at the con, George. He's yelling into the sky.
Terrible.
But because apparently he also didn't know that he wasn't the voice of Vader for episode 4. So when he got to the theater, he brought all his friends and family, like, guys, I'm in this new cool movie called Star Wars. It's going to be great. Let's watch it. And then they get in there and it's not his voice. It's James Earl Jones's. So he's been kind of screwed over by Lucasfilm for quite some time. So let's give him something to work for.
That's weird. He must have figured it out, though, because he must have known they're not going to use his voice from inside the helmet.
Well, I figured they had like
come
microphones.
back in and dub it over, but
I don't know. But point being is that he didn't know that they got someone else to do the voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 8, Hayden Christensen. Yeah, just get David Prowse. Men in Black. Good first movie. Decent second film. I think a great third film.
Yeah, I really like the third film.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, but I don't
Shame it didn't come
it.
10 years earlier. It could have actually cashed in.
Yeah, but to be fair,
yeah.
it made a lot of money. Like I think it made upwards of like 500 or some million. I may be wrong, but it made a lot of money.
It had the Flight of the Conchords guy.
Yes, Jermaine Clement, something like that. Josh Brolin's great in it. So Sony, I think Sony owns the rights. Sony, because Sony doesn't have enough issues right now, they want to reboot Men in Black without Will Smith and as a trilogy. Your thoughts, Bandit?
Without Will Smith, you said?
Without Will Smith and as a trilogy. Yeah.
That's interesting because
it's stupid, but yeah.
Do you think? Is it though? Because I got into a heated argument with someone on my channel once because when Tom Hardy was removed, when he left Suicide Squad, I made a point in the video. I was saying it's funny because Will Smith used to be like one of the biggest names in movies, but now we're kind of at a point where I would say Tom Hardy is arguably a bigger draw card than Will Smith is, because people are kind of sick of Will Smith.
I think.
But he's certainly a better actor than Will Smith.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Oh, I'm sorry. Is Tom Hardy a better actor than Will Smith?
Yeah, he is, right? I mean, he definitely is.
I mean, if anything, I'd say they're on par because Tom Hardy has given, I don't want to say the same kind of performance, but I don't feel like he's stepped out of his comfort zone since the days of Star Trek and Bronson and Inception, and Will Smith at least has gone from being the suave guy to being have you seen he's in the movie 7 Pounds, he's in I Am Legend, he's in Pursuit of Happiness, which is definitely a different. I don't think Tom Hardy is definitely a draw card in any sense of the word.
Yeah, people didn't. I think his character in Inception is completely different to Bane, and Bane is also very different from Mad Max, apart from having a weird voice.
Okay,
I think he's very, very different, and I haven't seen him in Legend yet.
Okay, I haven't seen Legend either. I'm looking forward to it. I hope it's better than what people are saying it out to be. But my point is, I don't think Tom Hardy's a bigger draw card because people didn't go see Mad Max because of Tom Hardy. I think people. I think
it helped.
But think about it from outside of our bubble. Because think about we know the movie news, we know the film world in a sense. My dad didn't go see Mad Max because it had the guy from This Means War in it. He went to see it because it looked like an action movie.
Yeah.
You see? I don't know. Maybe it's an Australian thing. I don't know.
But when was the last big sort of hit that Will Smith did? It was Men in Black. He hasn't had a hit since then. Not a mega blockbuster.
He hasn't done any mega blockbuster movies where After Earth never happened. So I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really.
Yeah. So I mean, if he hasn't had a big hit in something that must be almost 15, 20 years
since he's had a big hit.
Yeah, so I don't know how we can say he's a bigger star than Tom Hardy at the moment.
Well, Men in Black 3 was 2012, and that got a good reception, at least from the general community.
Okay.
And it's not rotten on Rotten Tomatoes, and you know.
But the point is he's not the big draw card that he once was.
There you go. That's,
so I mean, I guess it's
yeah.
So whether the fans don't care about him anymore or not, I guess we can argue about. But so
because like
to answer your
people
question,
still
I'm
went
not
and
that
saw
surprised
Focus.
then that he's removed from Men in Black 3 or 4 or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
I don't know. I think Sony is, because they may or may not lose Bond after Spectre comes out, because they lose the rights to Bond, or the rights expire to Bond after Spectre comes out. So they're going to have to enter another bidding war in the next year or so for the next Bond film, or the next Bond for the Bond rights. So they may or may not lose Bond. Pixel's bombed. Angry Birds, you know, we'll get to that, but that's their next hope for a franchise. And right now they have Hotel Transylvania as their big hits, because that second one just did 50 million opening weekend. So like you need to really, they need a franchise right now. And so I feel like they're scraping up. They Spider-Man's back at Marvel, so like they're scraping the bottom of that barrel. And like, well, Men in Black was a thing once, so let's bring that back and let's reboot it after.
Are they going to like redo it and have like Michael B. Jordan sort of taking on the mantle kind of thing, or like someone like that?
I don't know. I mean that's a greater idea. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. I don't want to be like one of those guys that's like you don't need to do it. The movies are perfect or anything. But I feel like at the same time I don't think there's like a market for it anymore, especially without Will Smith. Like, you can bring in Sam Michael B. Jordan or an Idris Elba would be great. Actually, I'd see it. I'd see an Idris Elba.
Yeah, totally.
Movie.
I love the dude.
But at the same time, like,
but I want to see him as Bond. I don't want to see him as Men in Black.
Yes. Oh yes, please have
save him for Bond. Give us Bond.
Oh my god, he'd be a great Bond. No, but like, and then like, these movies have never been. How do I explain this? In an age of where we're getting a lot more practical effects in movies, like Star Wars, which is arguably the biggest movie of the modern generation besides the Avengers, is Episode 7, and they're using a lot of practical effects. Mad Max was just a big hit by using a great blend of CG and practical effects. Guillermo del Toro is a high-class director because of his effect usage. You know, it's becoming a thing that people are clamoring for, whether or not it's a needed thing or whatever, but and Men in Black has always been very CG heavy. Like, even back in 97, I think was when the first one came out, that was very much the 90s CGI, not a lot of practical effects, you know, and then the new one, the 2012 version, was just the same. And I don't think that there's just not, Men in Black is, the age of Men in Black is over. I don't really see the need in bringing it back. I don't think it's going to make a lot of money, especially without Will Smith. It's like Independence Day. Like,
yeah, well, they're actually... I got a bit of movie news myself. Independence Day Resurgence coming out 2016, 2017.
Yes.
I was going to do a how to do it video, but in researching it, I found enough information that I feel like I know the whole movie already.
Yeah.
And the president is going to be a lesbian, based off what I can see.
I mean, listen.
Let me just explain why. This is my little bit of movie news. Because it says, okay, so there's Bill Pullman, you know, he was the president in the first one, and he had a little daughter. Yeah. And the daughter's grown up, and he's in it, and an actress playing his grown-up daughter is in it. And there's a female president, and Bill Pullman's daughter is working for the female president. And in a different interview, an actor said, you know, we've got a same-sex relationship, and it's not really mentioned in the movie. It's just kind of there. Like, we don't make a big issue of it. It's just there, part of the movie.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say whether it's like 2 guys or 2 girls. But then later on, the girl who's playing Bill Pullman's daughter, who's working for the president, who is a woman, she's been told not to tell anyone exactly what her role in the new government is. And I'm like, well, why is she being silenced from saying what? It's probably because she's the first lady to the man. Because the president is the man, even if the president is a woman.
Okay. I mean, as long as they don't, like, make it a big deal. Like, Like, we have a same sex relationship in Independence Day. Like people aren't going to Independence Day for that, same sex relations. People are going to see stuff blow up and Will Smith, but Will Smith isn't going to be there, so no one's going to go to it. It's going to be a waste of money.
Yeah, exactly. Like, regardless of anyone's politics, like when I told you, everyone has that pause where you're like, they're putting that in Independence Day.
like my reaction was like, I mean, cool, but why? Like, it's not really something like needs to be made like a big deal anymore. Like, it's not like a big earth-shattering thing to have a gay person in a movie anymore, especially now that it's like...
It seems like they're doing it just to try to get attention, you know? Which he's doing it for the wrong reasons, you know?
Yeah, like...
Not because you care about whatever the cause is, you're just doing it because, like, ooh, we're controversial. Well, you're not really anymore.
Like, same-sex marriage is legal here. And
is that in all America or in just states? In some states?
No, it's just, well, they it was this past summer they made it legal in all states. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought
2 months after 2 months after I made my YouTube video about why it should be legal in all states.
Not saying they're connected, but
no, I'm just like they are. Is Independence Day Sony as well? Is Independence Day, is that Sony as well, or is that am I thinking of a different? I don't know. I'm gonna look that up as we continue on to our next
anyway,
story.
the reason I thought of that was because we're talking about Will Smith. Independence Day Resurgence does not have Will Smith in it.
No,
it has Jeff Goldblum and Jeff Goldblum's dad, but it does not have Will Smith in it. So, you know, if he's left out of Independence Day and he's left out of Men in Black, maybe that's saying something about his standing in Hollywood now, because those are his two big draw cards, aren't they?
I think he didn't want to come back. Because I know, especially for Independence Day, because
you're not breaking up with me, I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah, because like they wrote two scripts, one with Will Smith and one without.
Okay.
So like they just went with the one without for Independence Day. I don't know about Men in Black. I think maybe because he's doing Will Smith is probably going to be in more DC movies after Suicide Squad. I don't know how big his role is going to be, but he's going to be a villain in Batman universe, which is so cool. But so he's doing other things. I think Will Smith is going to be just fine. I think he's doing absolutely just all right. He's going to be in one of the biggest movies of next summer. I think Will Smith's going to be okay, especially with this stupid Men in Black. Weren't they going to combine with 21 Jump Streets? That was the plan, last year.
Yeah, I heard that was a rumor. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing? Sony? What are you doing?
But I mean, well, there's no reason you couldn't cross over the universes. I mean, Men in Black is set in the otherwise normal world, but most people don't know there's aliens. So
I'd like to see that actor. I forgot. Is that actor still around? The one that played the head of the Men in Black in the first two movies. Is he still around, or did he pass away? So I'd love to see a conversation between. I'd love to see a conversation between Tommy Lee Jones and Ice Cube from 21 Jump Street. That would make my day.
Well, hey, maybe Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are the two people that are recruited into Men in Black.
I'd see that. I'd see that. There you go. That's
there.
Exactly
you go, Hollywood.
What you
There's your sequel. 23 Jump Street is they're both made Men in Black.
Give it. Sorry, excuse me. Give it $250 million, and then.
Yeah. You know what? I actually haven't seen either of the Jump Street movies either.
They're great. They're really good.
Should that be my homework for next week to watch those?
I mean, have you seen Gone Girl?
Yes, I did.
How was it? Man?
It was really good.
Yeah,
I really liked it. It was like
you didn't know
it sort of picks up in the second half, doesn't it? In the first half, I was like, yeah, it's good, but then once it starts to unravel what's really going on, you're like, oh my god.
I think it kind of slows down in the second half. I feel like what really got me going was that whole, did he do it, did he not do it, and spoilers for Gone Girl. Yeah. But when you find out that she did it, you're like, what? And when he finds the garage full of all the stuff, and it's like, I'm so happy now that I'm dead, and I'm just like, oh my god, Fincher, you still got it.
I actually found the second half more interesting, because the first half was him just kind of, and it's fine, it's what the story is, but it was Ben Affleck just kind of going, what's going on? I don't understand, for an hour. And I was like, can we move along? Okay, I get it. So once it started getting into what she was doing, and I was like, oh wow, this is cool, this is interesting.
Yeah,
really good movie.
She's just the wrong kind of person, and I whenever he slams her head against the wall and says "you effing C word," I was like me and my friend, me and Christian just went yes, in a theater, we had a little cheer, domestic abuse. It was I felt because she deserved it, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, what I thought was going to happen was because they have that conversation in the bathroom or whatever, and they're talking openly about the fact that she's like, "I killed for you," blah blah blah, and I'm like, I bet he's put like a hidden camera in that room, and he's put hidden cameras all around the house to capture her saying it, because that's the only way you can show everyone what's actually going on. But no, he didn't think of it. But anyway.
No, because Ben Affleck's not smart.
Ben Affleck, you should not have married that woman in the first place. She has crazy eyes.
Man.
She was the bad guy in Die Another Day. You should have known.
Oh, she was in Die Another Day. Wow, get on your Rosamund Pike.
And she was kind of a psycho woman in that too.
Yeah, she was in Jack Reacher. She had crazy eyes in Jack Reacher. She was a mean person in The World's End. Oh yeah, she's been around.
I was paying close attention to Ben Affleck's performance because I knew you were going to ask me about that. Because that was the point you said. His performance. How'd you like it? Yeah, he's good.
Yeah,
he's good.
I told you. Yeah, I know.
Not great, but he's good. But
all right, I'll take it.
I had a difficult. It's difficult because I knew you were going to ask that about his performance, and I'm like, but how much of it is that I'm enjoying the movie, or how much of it is his story? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, everybody in that movie is fantastic. Like he's good in his role. The girl's good as the crazy girl. She was really good. Everybody's fantastic in that movie. So yeah, he's a good actor. Like I've never said he's a terrible actor. I just have my doubts about Batman because Batman's
still.
Well, we've never seen him playing a tough guy role before.
I under.
Even in The Town, he wasn't that tough.
No, but
we'll see.
Yeah, but Gone Girl is great. Okay, let's keep moving on in the news here because we were at like 40 minutes. Let's do one more. No, actually, I want to talk about Writings on the Wall, the new Bond song.
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember I got home on Friday and I heard like it's out, the Bond song's out, and an article I read was Sam Smith's new Bond song is out, and it's just kind of meh. And I said, well, okay, let me listen to it and get my own personal thought. And like right from the get-go, I was really into it, and I love this song. I think I've had it on repeat for like 2 days. I think it's great.
I haven't heard it yet. What's it like? Well, sing it to me.
I mean, I could try my best if you pay me. No, Writings on the Wall. It feels like kind of an amalgam of a lot of the different era of Bond songs. Okay. We did.
If I can find it, I'll include it in the background here.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want me to? I can keep talking.
Yeah, keep talking.
yeah. Like it has a bit of Adele to it. It has some Skyfall in it, especially with the whole orchestra. But it feels like, I guess the best way to put it is, The Spy Who Loved Me meets Skyfall. Those are two great Bond songs. I'm not sure if you've heard either of them, but you put those together, and you very much get what they're going for here. And it's nice to hear a male voice.
Yeah, I think The Spy Who Loved Me has the music that goes. So it's like very kind of dreamy, like. Or is that no? That's You Only Live Twice.
Yeah, I'm like, I know The Spy is like da 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 da. I'm not sure if it ever goes quick like that. But like it's slow, but it has this huge bombastic thing in Writings on the Wall, and it has my dog's barking, but it also has like this awesome. It has what is great about all Sam Smith songs in that the vocal and how his range, how he goes from high to low, and he does that that all singers do that I can't do. You know what they say about singers, right? And people who can't sing, people who can't sing play instruments, and people who can't do both conduct. So that's a musician joke. But like it's I don't say it's my favorite Bond song, but it's definitely refreshing new take on Bond that we haven't heard in a while. The melody is great. It like I said, it's very bombastic. It's very understated, and like
it's very Bond-bastic.
You can get out. You can get out. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean
I'll include a little snare drum.
Such a dork. No, but like we can like it never goes the full mile, which I like. Maybe a lot of people's problem. That's like it never goes like as big as Skyfall does, or You Know My Name, or a lot of other Bond songs. It very much cuts itself off to get to the next verse. But I'm a big fan of that. I think that's a great way of doing a Bond song. Like I said, it's a refreshing take on it. But yeah, that's writings on the wall.
I'm surprised people are so opinionated about the Bond song, because for the Daniel Craig movies, they haven't really been that important.
No.
But for some reason, this time, everyone's like, I don't like this Bond. It's like, who cares?
I think
it's just opening credits.
Yeah, like I think because we're in like such a prevalent internet age of where like everyone has an opinion and everyone can put on their phone.
Yeah.
Like I'd see even more than when Skyfall was
for that.
Even more than Skyfall. So when something's out, everyone's just like, I think this is this. I think this is this. You know, and I'm not usually one to believe in Instagram opinions of like 13-year-old girls that are big Sam Smith fans, just because their opinions are very swayed. So it's interesting when sites like Variety and Forbes and not Metacritic, not like SourceFed, and those guys are just like, you know, the song's just kind of mad. Like, really? I love it. But maybe that's because I'm a 13-year-old girl that loves Sam Smith, I guess. So, okay. Speaking of Ridley Scott, Prometheus 2 is an Alien, but the title is Alien Paradise Lost.
Yes. Can I intersperse? Because I uploaded Prometheus 2, How to Do It, and as I was uploading, the announcement came out of Alien Paradise Lost, and I was like, do I keep the video, do I change the title right now, or do I keep it Prometheus 2? Because if I change it now to Alien Paradise Lost, everyone's going to go, what is that? And they won't bother clicking on it. But if I keep it Prometheus 2, people in the comments will be like, hey, it just got changed. So I just changed it. So
yeah, I mean, it's a good video. it's a well put together video, and no matter what the title is, you still say Prometheus 2.
Yeah,
I don't
know why they don't just call it, because I thought it was going to be called Paradise.
Yeah, that's what they were going to say for like back when the Blu-ray came out. They're all like, well, the sequel's going to be called Paradise. And I'm like, oh, okay,
yeah,
great.
At the end of Prometheus, she's like, we're going to where they came from, and he's like, what did he call it? And he's like, Paradise.
Yeah, so and I'm like, oh, sequel, setup, awesome.
So either call it Paradise or call it Paradise Lost, but they call it Alien Paradise Lost, probably because
branding.
If we don't have the Xenomorph in it, people won't be interested.
Which is like, I think Ridley Scott really needs to just kind of abandon, and we'll get to more of the details of Prometheus when we get to it, but I really think Ridley Scott needs to just abandon the whole Prometheus thing and just say that this is the story that leads into Alien. Stop trying to be all religious about it. Stop trying to be all Damon Lindelof about it. Is Damon Lindelof writing this movie?
No,
because I'm not seeing it.
He's not involved in any way.
No, thank you, because he's killed a lot of projects in the past. You see Tomorrowland?
I feel bad for Lindelof, you know.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. Absolutely
he's got good ideas. He just doesn't know how to turn them into stories.
Well, then why has he tried doing it 18 bajillion times? He killed 4 seasons of Lost.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that was a good show in the beginning, wasn't it?
But yeah, I said 4 seasons, not 6. I have no sympathy left for Damon Lindelof after I had the disappointment, absolute disaster that was Tomorrowland. I had a worse time at Tomorrowland than I had at Jurassic World. That's saying something. But rant over. I'm not into Damon Lindelof.
Oh yeah, Tomorrowland. That was a Lindelof movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's Brad. He took one of the greatest filmmakers of this decade, Brad Bird. He took what could have been really cool original franchise, got all the people to stop complaining. Brad Bird left The Force Awakens to do Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
But he brought on Damon Lindelof, and so he sunk his own ship. He brought in an iceberg to the Titanic. Why
would you do that? That's like if you're running a fire department and you bring a guy who is a known pyromaniac and make him the chief of the fire department. Why would you do that? It's like with World War Z, they brought him in to fix plot holes. Are you crazy? Do you know who he is?
Speaking of which, that college humor video. Yes, he did. That College Humor video, Damon Lindelof.
Oh, I love that video. That's why I included it so much.
And then he ends it with like "Father," and then he just walks away.
And this puff of smoke. Yeah.
Oh my god!
You should watch the full thing on their channel.
I think I've seen it, but I'll check it up again.
I
but
love
yeah,
this bit where the actor who's playing David Lindelof, he like hands him a box. He's like, "I think this will answer some of your questions." And the guy opens it, and David Lindelof's like, "Ah," and he opens it, and inside the lid there's just a mirror. The guy's like, "How? How does this answer anything?"
But that really is like his big problem. I don't want him anywhere near. Bring Drew Goddard in to write Alien Paradise Lost, because apparently he writes good stuff with The Martian, and he did a great job on Cabin in the Woods. And so let's see what he can do with sci-fi.
Maybe
okay.
I might have to actually. I'll make Tomorrowland my homework for next week as well.
I don't think you have to. I think you'll like it probably more than I did, because the whole thing with Tomorrowland is that, again, with Lindelof, the whole marketing campaign was, what is Tomorrowland? What is this world, and how is it changing around us? And without giving anything away, like 26 minutes in, they're just like, no, don't worry about it, and they move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
and I'm just like,
that's classic Lindelof.
Yeah, I'm like, excuse me, and then they introduce another element. I'm like, what? How this there? It's like, oh, don't worry about it. They move on. I'm like, what about that? Well, don't worry about it. Okay, now we're in the end credits. Well, what happened? It's like written by Damon Lindelof. I'm like, oh, now it makes sense. Like, oh, now I see.
Yeah, so Alien Paradise Lost. That's the name, apparently.
I don't have a lot to say. I want this to be good, because when we get to Prometheus, I'll share my thoughts of Prometheus.
Yeah, because I'm holding back because I want to talk more about it, but we'll save it for when we get to Prometheus. Yeah.
Okay, speaking of Prometheus and Ridley Scott, I think that covers all the news I want to talk about here. We were going to talk about the Angry Birds trailer, but you haven't seen it, and I don't feel like talking about it because I didn't like it. So
the what trailer?
Angry Birds.
Oh, the Angry Birds. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna be the Smurfs. It's gonna be everything, and just okay.
It's gonna be the Smurfs meet Pixels, probably.
Don't do that. Don't you stop it. Don't say that. Don't say that. Okay.
And now our feature presentation.
Okay, so why don't you start with Blade Runner, because that's the meat. Yes. I really want to hear, because for those listening, Trey has never seen Blade Runner before.
No. There's a list of movies, movie classics that I have yet to see. And that's I recently saw Back to the Future maybe a month ago, which is great. It's just fantastic. I love it. I still need to see Jaws, E.T., Godfather. There are a few movies I still need. I've seen Psycho, ironically. There are a lot of movies, but Blade Runner was for
our listeners. Even though we're called Movie Mania, it doesn't matter if you haven't seen everything, because as you could hear listening, we haven't seen everything.
No,
there's no requisite to being a fan of movies.
Sometimes
you don't have to
we
know
don't even
everything.
See or listen to our own news, which is awesome. No, but like. And Blade Runner was a movie that was on that was for a while, and then just today, I've actually been trying to. I don't want to give my movie watching methods away, but I've been trying to find the movie all weekend. I just found it this morning, and so I sat down and watched it on my lovely iPhone 6.
All you need to do is go down to the local video store. Oh, they don't exist anymore.
Oh no. You knew it was all over when they started putting like red boxes in front of the video stores. That's when you knew it was over. That's when you're like, oh, it's the end of times. But I guess
the town where I live, we actually do have like a movie rental place. Probably because it's a country town. Well, that's because
Bandit. We all know you live in Mad Max. Like, so of course they're gonna have video stores.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, like it's all Mad Max and Wallabies and Outback Steakhouses and dingoes taking babies.
You can't make that joke. You're not allowed to.
You're my nerf herder. My nerf herder.
I'm itching. What did you think of Blade Runner?
Okay.
And I'm not. I don't mind if you hate it or if you love it.
I definitely don't hate it, but I don't love it. It's in 3 words: good, not great. Just in my opinion.
Okay.
Harrison Ford is awesome as Deckard. I think he might be, him and Roy, who's the villain of the story, is definitely a standout in the role.
Yeah.
The Tears and Rings scene is just incredible. I wasn't expecting that, and then that scene just pops up, and I'm just like, is this like important? So I looked it up later, and I see like that scene has like 2 million hits on YouTube. It's
It's
I think
that scene.
I think the aesthetic is great. And for all you guys wondering maybe what version I watched, the version I watched didn't have narration and was an hour 57 minutes. So I don't know if that's a director's cut, final cut, whatever, but the version I watched, what I watched, I think it was theatrical cut.
Just to clarify further, okay, so it didn't have the narration, your version.
No.
That's good, because apparently the narration adds nothing anyway. Did you get an impression at the end of the movie that Harrison Ford himself was also a robot? From your version?
I went in asking myself that question because I've listened to the Weekly Plan. They talk about that all the time. And so I went in with the impression that he either is or isn't. And I never really understood why that question comes up, because that idea, in my opinion, is never really presented. Exactly. But then again, there's a lot when I watch it that I just completely flew by me. I'm like, that made no sense, but whatever. Like, the moment the movie ended, my first thought was, huh? and then I sat around and I thought about the main plot is a man trying to hunt down these robots.
Also, at no point watching it did I, like, for the first time, did I ever think that Harrison Ford was a robot himself. And later on, when I heard there's an extra, a director's cut which sort of suggests he is, I was just kind of like, why? You don't really need that in the story. But anyway,
I think it adds an extra layer of maybe why Roy decided to help him in the end, maybe, because he has such a disdain towards humans. And I don't see how Deckard was any different than any other human on the force or in the world. But like, the aesthetic is great. The effects are just stand. I don't know if they've gone and remastered it over the years, but it looks great. Like, the CG wasn't dated in any way. If I have any, my biggest complaint is that there are a lot of long stretches of the movie where no one talks, and yet nothing happens. Yes. And there's it's just like shots of the city, people staring. I don't know movies weren't like that in the 80s, right? Like, I've seen 80s movies. Movies weren't like that's more like a 50s movie or something. Like, that's like 70s sci-fi. Like, I'm thinking that's like a 2001 or a Star Trek motion picture kind of thing. But this in many ways felt like an old 1950s cop movie set in the future. Mm-hmm. And I think that in many ways hurt it, because I don't know, like, I felt like they were really trying to blow my mind with everything that they were doing, and they didn't. Until maybe the last 20 minutes, where I was just on the edge of my seat, like, ooh, like when when Roy is breaking Deckard's fingers, I'm like, oh my god, and I don't know, where Roy, for a while, was really more of this kind of cool, charismatic kind of guy, and then he pokes the guy's eyes out, and I'm just
crushes his head.
Yeah, I'm just like, ooh, and the guy that helped him into the building runs away. And I'm just like, oh no, you're gone, you're dead. And so, now you have this feeling of Deckard's screwed, he needs to get out of this. And then Roy turns, and he's just like, well, I guess I'm dying. So, it's
there's a lot of hidden messages.
What was the thing with the folded swans? What was that all about? Like the paper, not like the paper mache, like the what's that called? Origami, like the origami birds folded out of paper. Like, what was that all about? Because I have that.
Actually,
they focused on that.
It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I can't remember every single thing. But...
Yeah, and so I'm sitting in the movie and watching things like, okay, I'm gonna have to talk about this after I finish seeing it. So let me see if I can absorb all this. And what I really absorbed was that it was a story that was ultimately really insignificant in this overall world. The problem is I guess the main problem with the villains is that they're trying to make a way so that replicants can live longer, that they can live longer than 4 years. Yeah. That problem doesn't get resolved. Deckard's being brought onto the back onto the force. He's going back into the field to hunt these guys down. That's it just kind of feels, I don't want to say insignificant, but it's such a self-contained story, so that now that I hear they're making a sequel to it, I'm like, well, where can you really go with it? Like, what happens? Is he going to be hunting down more robots? Is he going to be a robot and they're going to be hunting him down? Because that's basically The Fugitive, just in the future. So, like, what are you going to...
Yeah.
I liked it, and I thought what they did aesthetically, visual effects wise, I thought Harrison Ford was great. I thought the score was just like I could listen to that when I go jogging. Like that's like, I love that soundtrack. Like that's up there for me in my all-time favorite soundtrack. That was so great. Like that, you know, it but at the same time, there's so much that I think either goes over my head or just seems like, what was the point of doing that in the movie? Especially with all the long shots of just nothing happening on screen and just weird stuff with music playing. I don't know. Yeah.
Here's something is because we'll talk a little bit more about the bigger themes of Blade Runner in a minute, because they were also, those same themes were sort of repeated in Prometheus a bit, but this movie has an unofficial.
I saw some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie has like an unofficial side cool spin-off. In 98, there was a movie starring Kurt Russell just called Soldier, because in Blade Runner, the replicants in there, they're used as workers and they're used as soldiers. And there is a movie starring Kurt Russell that's just called Soldier, and that was supposed to be everyone in that are these replicants.
I gotta ask before,
here's what it says. I just looked it up.
Sorry.
Writer David Webb People said that Soldier is a sidequel to Blade Runner, which he also wrote because it takes place in the same universe, and in fact, the vehicles used in the Blade Runner spinners are also used in Soldier, and when it shows Kurt Russell's service record on a computer screen, it references a few things that are also mentioned in Blade Runner. So, fun fact, there is kind of a spin-off. So if you're wondering what do the replicants do, or what are the rest of their lives like, you can watch that movie.
Are they like androids, or are they like just super like Khan, like from Inner Darkness, or are they like androids that have like metal or?
Yeah, well, I mean, they kind of seem like a combination because they're androids, but like the line, a common thing in Blade Runner is the line between a normal person and a replicant is so blurry. Like when Harrison Ford is interviewing that girl, and it takes something like 55 questions.
No, it was like 100. It was like 100.
Oh, even more, yeah. And even then, it's like only just sort of crossing the line that he knows that she's a replicant. And it's like, how can you even tell anymore?
Because, like, in that scene, he's like, he's interviewing her, and like you can see her eyes start to turn into it. I don't want to say like a different color, but like a different shade.
Yeah.
Almost like they look kind of non-human. And then like Harrison Ford says, "All right, goodbye." And like the guy, I guess, who makes all the replicants or whatever is talking to him, and he's like, you know, how many questions do you usually take? And he's like, I don't know, 15, 20. And this guy's like, that took 100. And so like, and so which makes me ask him like, is he like, did he bang a replicant? Is that what I'm like? Which is well another weird scene.
Yeah, what is up with that scene?
She leaves, she's walking out the door. Harrison Ford gets back up, slams the door, pushes her up against the wall, and commands her and says, "Kiss me." And she's like, "Kiss me." And so he does.
Yeah, he basically rapes her pretty much.
Yes, which I'm like,
and it's
that's
like,
not cool.
What are you? That's a common thing. Here's what I want to talk about Ridley Scott. There's two common things you find in almost all of his movies. One is weird sexual violence, which is either subtle or not so subtle.
Yeah.
And the other one is religious themes, because he's a very outspoken atheist and he always gravitates to religious themes for some reason. But those are two things that you find in almost everyone. You'll find one of them, weird sexual violence. Or atheistic kind of thinking on religious
I give it like a 7.5 out of 10. Which is I think is great. Because it's not. I can see why the world loves this movie, but then again, I can see why the world hates this movie. I kind of lined them in. I'm like, that was pretty great. That was pretty solid. Like I was. I was entertained yet at the same time bored. If that makes any sense.
But it
I was enthralled at points, but at other points I'm just like, let's keep going, guys. Come on.
I think a big part of its success also is when it was released. It was the right movie at the right time. It explores all those classic sci-fi questions, which are kind of cliched now because we've seen them so many times. But at the time,
this came out between Empire Strikes Back and like Wrath of Khan. Like we were getting.
You compare everything
sci-fi
to Star Wars.
But dude, like
every conversation you bring it back to Empire Strikes Back.
It's a great movie. It's so good. I rewatched
you didn't mention it in your
week.
favorite movies of all time, though.
It's my number 6.
Okay.
Just because it's just like I have a top 10 list, and I only read my top 5.
Yeah. But the whole point of Blade Runner is it has those classic sort of discussions of, what really makes a human human and coming to terms with their own mortality, especially with like Roy and all that. They want to extend their life. And that whole thing at the end with where Roy is kind of stalking Harrison Ford. Like he's sort of doing that because it's like how death stalks us and you can't get away from it. And that's kind of what's happening with Harrison Ford. He's trying to run away from Roy, but he keeps cornering him and he's kind of toying with him.
I thought I saw it more like a deer, or not like a deer, like a deer is being stalked by a lion, and like I'm so much more better than this guy that I can toy with him, that I can mess with him. I didn't really see the whole death thing, but
no, well, then again, because also like he's toying with him to give him that impression of how he feels of that death is stalking him and he can't get away from it.
Oh, that's right, because he is just like that's how it is to live in fear.
Yeah, and then at the end, like that Tears in the Rain speech is basically what he's saying is like, I'm going to die, and when we die, the only thing we can really pass on is our memories, our experiences, and what we've been through to other people who are living, which is why he's like, I've seen things that you wouldn't imagine. I've seen this, I've seen that.
Yeah, but since he only lives like 4 years, no one's gonna care.
Yeah.
So that's a great speech, by the way. And I heard that was all improvised. Like off the top of his head.
No way was that all improvised.
I hear like they say like they told him just to like talk about something, so he just came with that. I'm pretty sure it's improvised. I could be wrong, but like
I think the phrase like Tears in the Rain was improvised because the actor had fake rain falling on him and he was trying to cry. So, but everything else, there's no way he can. That's
a great
speech.
line though.
No
and
way.
He's like, all those moments will be lost like tears in rain. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But then he realized like he broke his fingers like 2 minutes ago, which is a brutal scene, by the way. Like I was really tense. Like I really thought Harrison Ford was gonna bite it. I didn't realize. I was really nervous. But yeah, Blade Runner it's a good movie. I think everyone should watch Blade Runner because it's a movie that can be looked at. It's kind of like The Shining. It can be looked at in so many different lights. It can be kind of looked at in so many different ways that you kind of have to see it. Especially if you're a film fan, you kind of have to see it to form your own opinion on it. So I'm happy I've seen it at least.
But you can definitely see a lot of those themes, and even scene for scene, were repeated in Prometheus. Like the whole thing of Roy meeting the guy who made him and then crushing his head. That sort of plays out almost exactly like everyone meeting the engineer at the end of Prometheus.
Oh yeah,
like there's in Prometheus
and Into Darkness, like Star Trek Into Darkness when Khan crushes that guy's head.
Oh yeah, that was a direct ripoff. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I would say homage, but to each their own.
But like even the bit where like the engineer sort of touches him on the head where you think it's going to be good, but then he rips David's head off. Same thing happens in Blade Runner where he weirdly kisses the guy on the lips, but then he like
that was another
crushes
weird
his
thing.
head.
I'm like, yeah. I can see what you're talking about. It's like the weird sexual violence thing.
Yeah, or like the whole thing in Alien. Everything about the xenomorph is like weird sort of rape metaphors and it's and slash
something abortion.
Ridley Scott's a bit messed up, I think.
Yeah, Ridley Scott's like the Oscar winner Kevin Smith. Like he's
well, let's see what the weird like sexual violence will be in The Martian when it comes out.
He's gonna. Well, there's not a lot of weird sexual violence in the book, but
if there's not that, there'll probably be a scene of like, Matt Damon shaking his fist at the Martian sky, going, "Damn you, God! There is no God," because there's always one of those two things in Ridley Scott's movies.
Yeah, like he'll get frustrated and be like, "Where's your God now?"
Yeah, I bet you he'll have a speech like that somewhere. You know?
I'll be looking for it now. I'll be like, that might be a thing. No, but okay. Do you want to move on to the Ridley Scott movie?
Yeah, we'll
or do you want to keep talking Blade Runner?
Also, what I was thinking about is because the reason I wanted you to see Blade Runner so much, because you've already seen Alien, we've both seen Alien. People consider Alien and Blade Runner, and maybe Gladiator, some people consider that as well, to be Ridley Scott at his peak, and it's been a slow decline ever since then. Like my video on Alien Paradise Lost, in the comment section, a lot of people are saying, I don't know if Ridley Scott can actually make this good. He's been off his game for a long time. That seems to be the general consensus with audiences out there, is that Ridley Scott has been slowly going downhill ever since.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's difficult to say.
Well, because I'm
Exodus
one
Gods
of
and
the
Kings
people
was a
that...
low point, though.
Oh, Jesus.
Everyone seems to agree with that, yeah.
But, like, Prometheus, because I remember the day I saw Prometheus. I was spending the night at my friend's house. You know, we were playing Xbox, being 12-year-olds, and I was actually really excited for this movie because I think I saw Alien for the first time like a week ago with my dad, and I thought it was great. I've seen it maybe one time since then, which is like a year later after that, so my memory's a little dodgy. But and I remember we went and we saw Prometheus. His mom's like, "You want to go see Prometheus?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go see Prometheus." And I loved it. I thought it was great. Granted, does the plot make a lot of sense? No. Are people really stupid in it? Yes. But I think your final verdict video put it right in the head. It's a great horror film.
Yeah.
When people ask me what's some of the best horror films you've seen in a while, I'm like, well, go watch Prometheus. Because it takes a while to get going, but once it gets going, it's a great horror film.
Yeah.
It's a great, I think it's a great
And,
science fiction film.
And in a horror, like people say, oh, the scientists make dumb decisions. But if you look at it as a horror movie, everyone makes dumb decisions in a horror movie.
Exactly.
You know,
and
the girl running up the stairs from the serial killer instead of out the front door. Happens all the time.
There's a scene in the first Scary Movie where like the girl has like a bat, a gun, and a banana, and she grabs the banana.
Yeah.
Just like
the problem with Prometheus though is it tried to push itself as this sci-fi mystery, Blade Runner-esque, and it just isn't that. I mean, it was at one point in the early strips.
Lindelof.
Yeah, Lindelof.
Yeah.
Damn you! I'm shaking my fist at you now.
No, but like I think there's so many things. For starters, I think the score is fantastic. I don't know who did this. I'm looking up as we speak who did the score for it. I'm someone who likes to pay attention to film scores. I think it's a great thing to watch out because it really adds to a scene. Like try watching Star Wars again. Try watching Star Wars without John Williams' score. I think the score is great. I think it looks great, and I think a lot of people's problems are with that script. I think a lot of people's problems are with the plot and how it all develops, which I don't think is Ridley Scott's fault. I really don't. Like, I don't think that's his fault. Like, that's... Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though, because, like, we say, well, the director, like, he doesn't write it, but he does approve the script. So, like, that's the thing, is, like, how much is the director responsible for the actual story? I mean, strictly speaking, the director is responsible for everything involved in that movie.
The director is responsible for whatever the studio allows him to be responsible, though, for. Like, think about, like, the studio, ultimately, it's their movie. It's their script. It's their producers. Like, so, granted, Ridley Scott is a very established filmmaker.
Oh, no, wait, I remember. Ridley Scott said it was his idea to get Damon Lindelof to rework the script. So, yes, it is his fault. Yeah.
All right.
I remember
I'll subside. But at the same time, you can see... I don't think anyone can say that Prometheus is just a bad movie. I don't know. Do you like Prometheus? I don't know if you like Prometheus.
No, not really.
No, but so
overall, no.
You think it's a bad movie? Yes.
Yeah,
because think that scene where she has to get the alien cut out of her, which is awesome.
Which is fantastic.
The scene, everything I think after the ship crashes is just awesome. Even if they do run in a stupid direction, but that's movies in general, okay? You have to let things go. Like
I think Prometheus Prometheus became the touchstone for a whole new area of wrongness in movies that we didn't know existed before.
Plot holes.
Yeah, and just the whole what we've been talking about, the whole Lindelof thing.
A month later, we got Dark Knight Rises. So
yeah, but at least that tries to answer. But it's like now people always go back to Prometheus and say, "Oh, it's a lot like Prometheus did this or that." Before Prometheus, we never thought of movies in that way. You understand what I'm saying? We never really had that.
It gets a bad rap for like no reason. Granted, things don't make sense. Well, granted, no, but like things don't make sense. No, they don't make sense. Things like why did the engineer go crazy for no reason? Why did they want to destroy the Earth? I don't know. Why did what's the male scientist's name? Why did I don't know Holloway or whatever? Why did he drink the stuff after David clearly put his finger in it and he saw it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Why did he not tell her that he had something wrong with her and then they had sex? I don't know.
Yeah.
But think about it. It looks great. Everyone's great in it, with the exception of Guy Pearce. Everyone's great in it. Idris Elba kills it. Noomi Rapace is great. Michael Fassbender gives arguably an award-deserving performance as David. The effects are incredible. The how do I put like the originals, like the giant face hugger, looks horrifying and gross and just disgusting. And when it shoots the tube down the engineer's throat, the engineer looks great. The opening scene is great. There's a lot of greatness in the movie. It's just not the script. There's nothing good about that script, which I guess could really kill a movie for you. But people didn't seem to let that kill about Jurassic World, even though that script is absolute crap. So I digress.
Let me ask you though, because here's something else I want to talk about. Because this podcast is not just about the movies of Ridley Scott. It's also kind of about Ridley Scott himself. Because Quentin Tarantino, in an interview, he said that when he was a young man, he also used to he said most people like fans of like a movie star and they follow that movie star through different movies. He was a fan of directors and he'd follow directors' careers. And he said whenever he had a director that at one time was great but eventually wasn't, he'd trace it back through their career and he'd try to find, what went wrong. When did they stop caring? And when did the slow decline begin? And he said that what he discovered is it almost always went back to just one film that they had like a personal interest in. And for whatever reason, it wasn't received by audiences as well, or critics didn't like it as well, or it didn't make as much money. For whatever reason, it wasn't as successful. And from that point on, they stopped caring. And he said it always goes back to one thing about Ridley Scott is the Ridley Scott we have today is not the one we had in the days of Alien and Blade Runner. No. So, but when I'm looking back at his career, I've got his IMDb page. I can't find what movie it was where he started to turn. Let me just give you an overview.
Maybe Hannibal.
Okay, yeah, we'll have
because that was right after he got the Best Picture for Gladiator. I don't think he won Best Director, but I think the Gladiator got Best Picture. He did Thelma and Louise a few years before that.
Well, hang on, it might not be because let me see. All right, so his early movies, it's TV. First of all, it's TV. He does a movie that no one knows called The Duelist. Then Alien, that's his big break. Right after that, Blade Runner, everyone loves it. Then he's got Nothing. Thelma and Louise. Huge. Oh, he did
Legends. Legends. Regarded as good.
I haven't seen it. So
I haven't seen it, but it's well regarded. Yeah, okay. But yeah, Thelma and Louise
successful. Nothing. Thelma and Louise successful. So he's still the Ridley Scott we know. Nothing. G.I. Jane, that was terrible. Gladiator 2000, hugely popular movie.
Are you not entertained?
Hugely popular. So
my world history teacher quotes that every time after he says that he's about to give us a test, and the whole class goes, he's like, are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? And every time I'm just like, you're the best.
Okay, so Gladiator, right. Then after that is Hannibal that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, but in this, see, I don't know if that was the one where he went back, because in the same year, Black Hawk Down, again, massively popular movie.
Yeah,
everyone loved it.
True.
Hannibal was like, meh, but whatever. Black Hawk Down came right after it. Matchstick Men was good, so this is still the Ridley Scott we know.
Oh, yeah,
this is where I think it all turned. Right after that, Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah.
Okay, because that came out in 2005, right? But if it came out in 2005, he must have started making it immediately after the 9/11 attacks. And of course, it's the Crusade, so it's Christians fighting Muslims. And was not well received at all. A lot of people just were not even interested in that.
Well,
But I
Ebert
think
liked
this
it.
might be the beginning of the end, right?
Really?
Because
Yeah.
he took his whole atheist thing. He thought it would fit in with all the controversy after 9/11. And you watch that movie, there's so many different speeches about people talking about, religion and, how it's a force for bad, but also good, but blah, 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 blah. After that is when you see the decline down, okay? There's Invisible Chicken, that's nothing. A Good Year, that's nothing. And there's a lot of mediocre ones. American Gangster, yeah, it was all right. Body of Lies, okay. Robin Hood, okay. Then Prometheus hits.
Yeah.
And we know from them where it goes. So I think if we are going to pick a movie that was maybe the beginning of the end for Ridley Scott, it would probably be Kingdom of Heaven. Maybe he hoped that would resonate with audiences more, but it didn't.
Yeah.
And it seems like since then, like Body of Lies, again, he was trying to tap into that whole Muslim versus Christian thing. Prometheus, he tried to bring it back, but he hasn't been able to reclaim the throne that he once sat upon. So
Yeah.
who knows? Who knows?
I think he's really he's trying to recapture that magic of hey, I'm Ridley Scott. I'm the director. I'm Ridley Scott. I don't know if he's
I'm a
British,
genius.
Yeah, but and because you look at his filmography and he doesn't feel like he's putting out simple films. Like he's really
I enjoyed
you can
Body of Lies. I enjoyed Robin Hood. I enjoyed American Gangster.
yeah.
But they were not they weren't hailed like his other ones,
No,
it seems
but
that before Kingdom of Heaven, everything was a home run, and then it was just kind of the decline started after that.
Yeah,
Whether that movie had personal
yeah.
significance to him or not, I don't know, or maybe he's just getting old or something, but yeah, I think there's Prometheus and then Exodus, Gods and Kings, which I saw. That was my homework assignment.
Yes, but let me see, who wrote Kingdom of Heaven, because that might help play into. Let's see, what films if he wrote The Gambler. He wrote. Oh, never mind. He wrote The Departed. Never mind. I rest my case. That was definitely
right. He also read The Departed.
Yeah, he also wrote The Departed. So and The Gambler, which I really like, was that Mark Wahlberg film. It came out last year, The Gambler, which I thought it was really good. Never mind. So yeah, Exodus, Gods and Kings.
Yes.
You saw it.
It's it got hammered in the reviews. I remember Josh Lewis. He basically said every single thing about this movie is bad. He's
I wouldn't go that far.
He said everything. He said the filmography, the costumes, the acting, the sound, the story. He said everything is bad. And I watched it and I was like, I don't know about that.
I mean, no, but
it wasn't that bad.
Okay,
it certainly wasn't good. But
what the Ten Commandments? Is it Charlton Heston back in the '60s or whatever? Whenever it came out.
Charlton Heston, yeah.
Chuck Heston, Ten Commandments from the early 1910s. What is the pinnacle moment of both those movies?
Parting of the Red Sea.
Parting the Red Sea.
That's the moment where everyone's
Exodus,
like, yes! Even if you're not Jewish, everyone knows that moment.
No. But but in Exodus they don't part the Red Sea. They shift. They shift the Red Sea.
Yeah,
we don't see it part. We see it just shift to the right. And that was so disappointing.
Because I've I don't. First of all, I don't understand why. If you're atheist, whatever, who cares? But I don't understand why an atheist keeps gravitating towards religious themes so much. Why would you care? But anyway, whatever.
Exactly.
But I've noticed with I've noticed with films.
Yeah.
I've noticed with films like these biblical ones, whether this Exodus or whether it's Noah or whatever.
Yeah.
There's this trend, and I totally understand it. There's this trend where they're doing it, but they also sort of add the skeptical edge to it, which I understand because you want religious people to see the movie, but also you know that people who aren't religious are going to see the movie, so you don't want them to feel like they're getting preached at, so you want to add some sort of skeptical stuff. I totally understand why they do that. Problem is, I don't know if that approach fits with Exodus. With the source material of Exodus, I don't think it fits with that, because the whole point of Exodus is that it's the 12 plagues. It's these big, spectacular 12 plagues.
It is literally a story of a man talking to God.
Yeah, the whole idea is it's undeniable that these are from God, that even the Pharaoh is supposed to say, wow, this God is more powerful than ours. That's why the story's been retold for so long. So so when you take that and then you try to do it with this skeptical side, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Maybe you can do it with Noah. Maybe, although I didn't Don't think it worked very well with that either.
think,
But with Exodus,
Yeah.
it definitely doesn't work. And it ended up with, like, you used the example of the part in the Red Sea. That's a perfect example. Like, he tried to do a bit of this thing of the 12 plagues. They're sort of like, are they really happening, or is it just this procession of natural events, like one following the other? I think there's a documentary about that. And that's fine, but thing is, he's got God as an actual character in the movie, right?
Yes.
And like,
yes.
Okay, he doesn't want to do the whole parting of the Red Sea because he's like, I don't want it to be that definitive of a miracle, so let's make it that it was just low tide and they crossed it at knee. And it's like, okay, but then when it comes time for like Pharaoh and his armies to be caught and drowned, you still have a miraculous wave come out of nowhere and drown them, which is a miracle in the movie. So why not just make it that they part the Red Sea? You know, so because he's trying to add this skeptical thing, but that doesn't fit with Exodus. That ends with like this weird thing, like you're saying. They kind of move it for a while, then it comes back, and it's like the whole thing with the Nile turns to blood. He makes it that all these crocodiles come out and they attack people and they attack each other, and the blood from the animals turns the Nile red. I mean, I don't know if they'd bleed that much to turn the entire Nile. You know how big that river is? Anyway, whatever.
Yes, it's
but
he's
still written it that God is the one who directs the crocodiles to do that. So either way, it's still God who's making it happen. So why not just go full miracle? You know, I don't think that approach works with Exodus. So Ridley Scott, stop trying to do religious stuff, okay? If you're an atheist, whatever, but don't... It doesn't work, okay?
I completely understand where you're coming from, and I kind of see the opposite light. That's a great point, but like to me, as someone who I don't consider myself a very religious man. I'm not one to be open about my religious belief because I'm honestly not entirely sure yet. But as someone who has been in church in his time, a few times in his life, as someone who's read the Bible not only for research sakes and like making a video, but for family reasons, I've read the story of Exodus.
Yep.
And I've seen the movie Exodus, and I can honestly tell you that sitting here watching, I'm not one to fall asleep in movies often. I think it's happened to me twice. One was when I was like 5 years old and saw a Harry Potter movie, and the second time was when I saw Exodus, Gods and Kings.
Yeah.
I was so bored. I felt like I was reading the actual Bible, just in the sense of like, I hate this so much. It's so slow.
Really?
I was out of it. I was dozing off right at the point where Ramesses or whatever is about to kill that chick, and Moses is just like, yes, I'm a Jew. That's when I was just like, oh, is something happening? Like I was so out of it, and then like the plagues start happening, and I'm just like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Yeah. And then
but
like,
even then, they're not that
man,
spectacular, are they?
No, but it's something. It's like
it's something.
Nothing was happening, and then we get to the part in the Red Sea. We've been over this. I'm like, yes, I cannot wait. Christian Bale's gonna knock this out of the park. He's gonna have that beard. He's gonna like whoosh, part that Red Sea. I'm like, yes, and then it just kind of like, I'm like, well, what was that? Like you displaced the Red Sea. You didn't part the Red Sea. It's like having like a bowl of water. You're tilted the Red Sea. It's not. Yeah. and then the movie just ends with him dying. And then it just ends. I'm like, okay, why is God a whining child?
Yeah,
God's
what's
not
up
like
with
this
that?
all-powerful. Yeah, are you trying to like? I see what you're saying. Like how he's trying to make the whole religious thing kind of seem kind of maybe not ridiculous, but like understated or whatever.
Yeah,
he made God a child, which is really God in the story of itself isn't really meant to be this guy who's like, this is the only way for Ramesses to learn what he's doing is wrong. He needs to learn by having this horrible thing happen to people. And Moses, and that came across from him, Moses just like, I don't want to do that. But making God a child makes it seem like God is this small and, what's what I'm looking for? Not overreacting, but...
petulant.
I can't... Huh?
Petulant child.
Like he doesn't, like he's being very reactionary. He's jumping to a conclusion. He's like, okay, well, let's just do this. And it really comes across as him being kind of immature, being childlike by making him a child. And this movie could have been, I don't want to say it could have been great because that script is so slow. It's so weak. It's such a weak movie.
Yeah.
It should have been a lot more. It should have been a spectacle, but it wasn't.
Yeah. And it's like, it's a little bit like Prometheus in a way, and it can't quite decide what it wants to do. Because even like with the character of Moses, the way he goes back and forth in that, like Christian Bale, is like he's like, am I really talking to God or am I just kind of crazy? But I'm like, still, that doesn't work with Exodus because the point is 12 plagues. Each one is predicted beforehand. Even the most skeptical person, after it happens like 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, by the end of it, you'd be like, okay, I'm not crazy. This is actually happening. But in Exodus, even at the very end, he's still like, am I crazy? It's like, no, dude.
No.
12 plagues.
You spoke to God.
Yes.
You saw a bush light on fire. Babies are dead. You are not. This is not your. This is.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, taking that approach with that source material just doesn't work. So I don't know, man. let's see how he goes with Alien Paradise Lost. Whether he'll go to the.
God.
Maybe that's it.
I'm so nervous.
No more religious stuff, Ridley Scott. Leave it alone.
Please, because they and going back to Prometheus, they touch on that. Prometheus, they touch on the whole.
Hugely.
The religion, like that's a huge theme of Shaw wants to meet her creator, and and how David very much sees. Humans are very much David's God, and he's just like, how would you feel if you met your creator and they just made you because he could, because they could, and which I think is a really awesome kind of really good motivation for why the character acts the way he does. Because I think David's the only non-stupid character in the movie.
Yeah, he's the most interesting part of that movie.
Which is why I think the movie's not complete crap. Which I think the movie gets too much of a bad rap.
That's true. Actually,
unlike Terminator Genesis, which is just the worst.
Will you stop it with Terminator Genesis? When we get that sequel and it breaks box office records in China, I'll remind you of that.
Mm-hmm.
But
you know what else broke? You know what else broke box office records in China? Transformers 4.
Yeah. You know what else? Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, I don't like either of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, you don't like Fast and the Furious? Everybody likes Fast. And the Furious.
I think the 5th one's good, but that's beyond the point.
Yeah. That's a whole other topic. Yeah, we'll cover that another day. But it's. I think like looking at the fact like if all this sort of stuff started with Kingdom of Heaven, then maybe we could say that's when Ridley Scott started to go downhill. When he started to try and beat everyone over the head with this religious versus atheistic thing. Because every time he's tried to do that, it hasn't worked. It's like he should just abandon it, just let it go. Just stick with the sexual violence. What it is. People like
I don't know what it is. Sexual. I don't know what it is with filmmakers and having that 2005-ish area, early or mid-2000s area where things are going bad. I mean, you got Spielberg doing War of the Worlds and Crystal Skull. You got Lucas with the prequels. He still didn't fix them by episode 3. You got Scott with Kingdom of Heaven. Tom Cruise himself was losing his mind around that time. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is with these filmmakers in the mid-2000s, but they better get their stuff together because none of those directors arguably have recovered from that. I still think I even think Spielberg hasn't made a great a great movie probably since Saving Private Ryan.
That's
just
probably true.
Because Lincoln, I like Lincoln. I think that's probably his best film since then. But it's nothing like
that's true.
It's not like Jurassic Park or Schindler's List, or E.T. or anything like that. But I'm just saying.
Maybe it's like because Spielberg's kind of stepped back from directing to a great extent, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's just sort of focused. Maybe it's time Ridley Scott sort of did that. Like other directors like Martin Scorsese can keep making movies and they keep being awesome. But Ridley Scott,
because he's in many ways, you can argue that all of Scorsese's films, with the exception of probably Hugo and Shutter Island, kind of all do take place in that same style. They all focus on a guy whose pride is ultimately his downfall.
Yeah, Screen Junkies made fun of that.
Yeah. But that's in the best way possible. Do what works for you and do it in different enough ways to where it tells good stories. And I feel like Scott really needs to find maybe adapting books with a good author or with a good screenwriter is his thing. Maybe that's what he needs to do because I can't see him taking.
I definitely think more I think about it now though. I think him trying to stick to the religious themes is his downfall. Because look at his major movies: Alien, nothing about God. Okay,
no.
Blade Runner, nothing about God. Subtle themes,
Well,
but nothing really
yeah,
heavy.
yeah. I was gonna say there's some subtle stuff in there about creation and all that.
Yeah, and same in Alien,
Yeah.
like Ash's sort of attitude is a little bit atheistic. So that's fine, like subtle. And then there's like Thelma and Louise, no God. Gladiator, no God. Black Hawk Down, no God. And then, you know, those are all these big movies. So as long as he sticks to that. But but let's talk now about a bit about the sexual violence of all these movies.
Sexual. Well, I don't think is there a lot of sexual violence? Well, if you want to go sexual violence, you can go.
He's
just
probably a
the
big
face
Game
hugger.
of Thrones fan, yeah.
Yo,
that's what I was gonna say. The face hugger, yeah.
No spoilers. No spoilers. I haven't been able to watch a lot. I haven't been able to watch a lot since our last conversation about it. But the face huggers, like, they're all about sexual violence. Like that's Well, speaking of which, what a horrifying way to go. Just to have this weird spider crab thing latch onto you. And my guess is that you feel it push something down your throat, which is horrifyingly gross.
So,
absolutely.
Like, I mean, so
we
see
Sorry,
go ahead. I keep interrupting.
No, like, and let's say, like, you see a giant version of that and how the process works in Prometheus. You know, we see the giant face hugger and how it, okay, yeah.
I mean, that's part of the reason why that movie's so scary, and the xenomorphs and the facehuggers were so scary, because I think it subtly tapped into that kind of fear of rape, pretty much.
Yes.
And even there's a bit in Alien where when Ash goes crazy and attacks Winona Ryder and Ripley, sorry, I should use a character name. He tries to.
Well, let me stop you there, because Winona Ryder was definitely not an alien. She's definitely an
Sigourney
alien
Weaver,
resurrection.
That's what I meant to say.
What lesbian chick.
Oh, Sigourney Weaver.
Thank you.
Winona Ryder. What am I talking about?
Talking about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice, man.
I should be punished for even thinking of the two of them in the same sentence.
Oh, don't worry, they will. They will definitely punish. I'll let your audience do that for you.
Yeah. But even then, like when Ash goes after Ripley, because he's talking about how he admires the xenomorph and the way he like tries to kill her, where he like rolls up a magazine, which is actually a porn mag, and he shoves it in her mouth like the face hugger does that. So he's trying to imitate that. And then when the dude comes and tries to pull him off, he makes like a claw with his hand like the face hugger, and he like grabs him on the chest, like latches onto his chest. So he's like imitating the face hugger there. That's kind of clever.
I don't know what it is with Scott, that he just has a need to because it makes sense. It's what drives the story in Alien. Excuse me. And it, in many ways, what drives the story in Prometheus, because that's how Shaw is birthed to the first face hugger. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, it's an alien abortion.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like there's
she's aborting the alien son of God. That's basically what it is.
Yes, wow. Wow. Congratulations, you made Sharon White speechless. Wow, that's a great way.
But even in Blade Runner, there's like, remember there's the bit where the female replicant has like Harrison Ford between her thighs and she's like crushing him. There's like that, which is like Roy kissing the man on the mouth before he crushes his head.
It's either a weird form of editing, or maybe I just didn't catch something, because she's got him in between her thighs, and she's starting to snap his neck. And then you see his head turn, and then next thing you know, his body's facing the opposite way. But you didn't see his body turn in the shot, and so I paused, and I was like, wait, what happened? What? But that's beyond the point, I guess. Weird continuity error when she's snapping his neck. I noticed that. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. But
yeah, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, you go back and watch the scene, and like you'll see, like it looks like she snapped his neck all the way back. Then you realize that he's facing the other way out of nowhere. You're like, well, wait a minute.
No.
unless I noticed the scene wrong.
Yeah, I don't remember.
No, but you are right with the whole everything from like the way Roy kisses. I think her name is Pris. The way he kisses her whenever. Because I think she dies with her tongue stuck out, and then he kisses her, and then pulls away, and her tongue's like pushed back into her mouth, and I'm just like, ugh. And then again, that weird Harrison Ford sex scene. You're just like, ugh. Like, I can't let that go. I'm like,
he's got some issues,
someone,
Scott.
Yeah, can I, like, if I ever see him, I'll be like, Mr. Scott, love your movies, man. Congratulations. I'm really glad you made yourself a career in the filmmaking. I would aspire to be someone like you. But let's talk Blade Runner. He's like, oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, so your intention with the Harrison Ford love scene, he's like, oh, yes, beautiful moment between the characters and how the boundaries above between man and machine or whatever. And I said, yeah, but it was kind of a rape, yeah? He's just like, and he just goes silent.
Honestly, I think if either of us ever met Ridley Scott in the flesh, we'd be terrified.
Oh my god, yes.
Because actually, in his interviewing, like in like interviews and stuff, he's got a pretty imposing presence, you know.
Yeah.
And like he knows what he wants, and he knows what he likes, and he knows what he doesn't like, and he says it. And that's probably partly why he's such a good director, because he can get people the actors to do what they're told, which can sometimes be dangerous. But yeah, like
I wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not making any accusations. I'm just saying him and Michael Jackson have some things in common that I don't want to get into.
But we'll have to keep a lookout for In the Martian.
Yes.
Whether there's either any of those two things. If there's not, it'll probably be a really popular movie, and we could see old Ridley Scott back again.
But I'll give that more to Drew Goddard than Ridley Scott, because clearly scripts can kill a movie for him sometimes. Not evident in especially when it comes to Prometheus. I think Prometheus was very much his way of killing. Like a script, just like I said, you brought an iceberg onto the Titanic. Okay.
It does feel like in Prometheus too that he was actually trying to say something. Mm-hmm. Maybe he wasn't sure what that something was, but yeah. But one thing,
I feel like he wanted to make a good movie.
Yeah. And I mean, you want to make a movie that made people talking, and it did. It got people talking. But
like I said, I will still aspire to think that it's a great modern horror film in my opinion, because it does everything a horror film's supposed to do, and it also looks great. Like, but yeah, sorry, you were saying.
I was just gonna say, but another like common thing with Ridley Scott, which is good, is all his movies, like the world building and the look of everything, always is fantastic. Even in Exodus, Gods and Kings, I don't agree with. Chris Stuckman. I don't agree with Chris Stuckman that it looks terrible. I think the costumes in that looked great, and especially in that slow kind of first 40 minutes or so, I was like, it does look great. You
mean that whole slow like 2 hours? Yeah.
But I was like, it looks genuine. The costumes look great. I believe that this world is a real thing, and
I think the costume designs were good. I think a lot of the interior felt kind of claustrophobic. Like, the interior did not feel like I was in ancient Egypt, or, you know, I didn't feel like I was in an ancient land of times. And the outsides, like the exterior shots, they all felt very CG, and I wasn't. And I'm one of the people that believe that practical effects are not always the way to go. I feel like I'm heard someone that thinks if CG can work, then use CG because it can look great. Look at Avatar. Yeah, but I
agree. But you go for whatever looks best in the shot you want. Yeah.
Or look at Prometheus. A lot of good CG in that. But the exterior, I felt like I was on a sound stage on outside, and on the inside, I felt like I was in a claustrophobic room, so I didn't really buy the production design. But I will agree, the costumes themselves are great, and Christian Bale's great. Christian Bale's always great, though, so that's not like a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, Christian Bale doesn't phone it in unless it's like Dark Knight Rises. Christian Bale never phones it in.
Interestingly, I'm just scrolling through Ridley Scott's IMDb, and I mentioned this before we started recording. He was executive producer on The Man in the High Castle TV series, which I saw the first episode of. Really loved. I'm not sure what's going on with that show, whether they've approved more. It looks like they've approved some more episodes.
What's it about?
It's actually about, get a load of this, it's based off a book, which is off the premise of what happens if, the Axis won World War II, and it's set in an America where America is literally split down the middle, and Nazi Germany controls all the East.
So
Japan,
there's Nazi Batman. There's Nazi Batman.
No. There's no. So Nazi Germany controls all the East, and Japan controls all the West, and they've got like a buffer zone in the middle, like a neutral zone between the two sides. And it's like a whole generations of Americans have grown up and sort of under Nazi occupation, so they've kind of forgotten what it's like to be America. And there's all these cool little things, like in the East, you get to see like what would the world be like if the Nazis got their way. And I remember there's this cool scene where this guy, his car breaks down at the side of the road, and he gets a jump start from a cop, and there's like kind of like snow, but it's like ash falling in. He's like, what is that? And he's like, oh, there's a hospital here. You know, on Fridays they get rid of all the old people or the sick people or whatever, and they're just burning them.
I almost swore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you're like,
oh Jesus!
But that's probably what would happen in a Nazi. But then in the West, it's got that the Japanese are kind of the Japanese colonists that have moved in. They're much more like, they don't oppress the people there, and they've actually kind of taken on a lot of American culture, and they like stuff that's like there's kind of like collectibles of old American culture in the same kind of way that people like, they look at American culture in the same way that a lot of people look at Native American culture, in that it used to exist before we were here. So they're like, here's an authentic, you know, a watch made by actual Americans back when they used to run the place, and they're like, ooh,
okay,
it's really cool. Yeah, it's
okay, all right.
But Man in the High Tower is someone sending out transmissions to all the TV shows from like our timeline where they actually won the war. So they're trying to find like, who is the man in the high tower? How is he getting these, you know, transmissions? What does it mean? Because they see it and they know this isn't fake and all this. So yeah. Anyway,
now I'm not one to watch a mystery show. Is it a mystery show? Because I
don't know. I've only seen the first episode
because
on YouTube,
I've learned my lesson. Oh well, I'll check it on YouTube. Like, I've learned my lesson from like cop and mystery shows.
Yeah,
I've learned to stay away from, because they never pay off until like 3 seasons down the line.
Yeah, so, that's right.
Which is why I think Game of Thrones is so great, because it's there and it's gone after 1 hour.
Yeah,
and then it's the next story after that. But yeah, Man in the High Tower sounds great. At least not great, but it sounds intriguing. At least like it's something.
Ever since I saw the first episode, I've been wanting to see the others, but I'm not sure where it is or how you find it, or if they're making more. But I'd love to see more. But anyway.
Yes.
Do you want to wrap up, or did you want to say more? Or?
I think we're all good on Ridley Scott. Yeah, like we didn't go through a lot of his films. We talked about all of them briefly, but we definitely didn't. But that's because A, I haven't seen several of them, and B, you know, we have more conversations about others. I think that The Martian's going to really say whether or not he is still a competent director. Mm-hmm. And whether or not Prometheus wasn't a fluke, in my opinion, or just another disappointment, if we're talking about yours. Yeah. So yeah, I think next week we're doing The Martian.
Yes.
Are we? Yes.
And that's based on, at least the story in that'll be solid, because it's based off the book, and books always have much more solid stories.
It's a great book, man. Like, I don't know how often you read books, but that's.
Have you read it?
I'm like 100 pages into it. I'm not one to read. I'm a very slow reader. But what I've read, it's really good. It's really sciencey, but you buy it because the guy's so sarcastic about it. I'm reading it and I can hear Matt Damon's voice, and it's really great. Like, the opening line is the opening line of the book is, it's like, so I'm pretty much effed, and so he's explaining what happens, and it's just like, yeah, so I'm effed. And there's one line in the book where he's like, it talked about the government, and he's just like, they're all just wondering, the world is wondering where Mark Watney is right now, and then it cuts back to him, and he's just like, how can Aquaman talk to whales? And he's like, because I mean, they're not fish. And it's the author, Andy Weir, we'll get a lot more into this next week, but briefly, he takes something that could be so boring and makes it so much fun to sit down and just have a great time reading it. I recommend everyone reads that book. It's great. So I'm so excited to see what Jukadar can do. So
it sounds like a lot of the humor comes from the character's like inner monologue, since he's alone.
Yeah. It's very much an inner monologue, which I'm glad we're gonna get to see, because it's all recorded in like logs. So I'm guessing he's like talking to a computer screen, like we see in the trailer. So I'm really excited to see.
Yeah.
I'm really stoked, and I'm really hoping I can get to my screening on Tuesday, because I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it too. I can't wait to see them.
Yeah. Do you want to get to some Phantom Minute questions?
Yes.
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Okay, so on Twitter, which
Listener
you can,
questions.
for you guys, listener questions. This is the segment of the show in which we have you guys on whether it be Bandits, Facebook or Twitter. You ask us questions based on movie topics and comics and all that good stuff.
Do you reckon we should actually set up like an official one for the channel?
Like an official like YouTube and Twitter?
Yeah. Do you think we should? Or nah.
I think we should give it time.
Wait until we have we know we've actually got some listeners.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
These aren't.
But,
we didn't ask for questions this week because we had ones left over from last week, so we wanted to get to everyone.
Yeah, and there are so many that we didn't get into, and we have a lot of time today, so we get to maybe get into some more. So
I really
Quad,
like doing these.
Yeah.
Do you like doing
Quad.
these? These are fun, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, because it's the everyday fan just asking a question.
Yeah.
And I've done this so many times on podcasts too. Just on today on Film Brits, which is Sam Gavin's podcast.
Yep.
They had like a 20-minute discussion about my question, which was great. I think I asked
really?
the hardest thing about YouTube or whatever. Which was,
I listened.
I stole someone else's.
I listened to
question.
them. I haven't heard the latest one yet, though.
It's good. It's good.
I'm actually going to see if I can
I
get Sam to come on the show.
Absolutely. Yes.
The other thing is,
I would love to argue with him.
yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
going to see
God.
if we can do like maybe a podcast crossover,
Oh
or
my God,
something
yes.
something like that. But either a crossover, or
'Cause-
he comes here, then we go there, or something like that. I don't know.
There's never been a YouTuber that I respect yet hate so many more times than Samuel Gavin, because I respect him 100%, but I never agree with him, and it's so great.
Really,
I
never.
think the only time I've ever, well, I think like maybe like Inside Out was the one time that we got something like,
Yeah.
like we've always had varying opinions, and I would love to talk to him. Okay,
it's
so
gonna
on
be
Twitter,
it's going to be difficult though, because that'd be time zone of Australia,
Yes.
America, and Britain. But I've
Yes.
thought about it.
Oof.
In a couple of weeks, my flatmate will be out. So
Mm-hmm.
since one of us will need to be up at like 3 a.m. to record in triple time zones, so if we
Right.
save it to then, that way I can do it without waking up my flatmate.
okay, all right. Because I'm telling you right now, Bandit, I'm staying up till 1 o'clock at the latest, and I'm out. Plus, we record on Sundays, so I have school the next day.
Yeah, we'll organise
okay.
it so I'm up at like super early or whatever. So
Yes. Listener question. Quad on Twitter at Quad9363 asks, which live-action Batman film got the most right? Like the character got him the most right. So, what do you think?
I actually think. I mean, I'm tempted to say The Dark Knight, but at the same time, because that was a little bit more focused Joker, I actually think Batman Begins
Really?
got the most right. Yeah, in terms of his origin and how he sort of wrestles with... Because the heart of Batman, as we all know, is he's a vigilante because of what happened to his parents. So I liked how he resolved that he's not doing it for revenge, he's doing it for justice. And I think that speaks more to the heart of the character than anything else. And they got that right, apart from the bit where he says, I won't kill you, but I'm not going to save you.
That's my
that.
biggest complaint. That's my biggest complaint, though, because that's like...
That's ridiculous.
Ra's al Ghul, if it's not the Joker... Ra's al Ghul is probably his most deadly adversary, because he's the reason Batman is the way he is physically, and he's also because he wants to work with Ra's, but he doesn't. But they have such varying ways on helping. They have so many varying ways on the same cause. They both want to cleanse the world of crime, but Ra's is being or Ra's, whatever. He's being a criminal trying to cleanse crime, and Batman has to stop him constantly. So to think that Batman, who in many ways Ra's became a father figure to him, for him just to, plus it's Liam Neeson, plus to just have him so coldly go, you know what? No, I'm killing you. I don't have to say, like, you kind of do.
Yeah.
Because imagine if Batman said that when Joker was dropping off the building, which is why I think, in my serious answer, is that I think The Dark Knight does get it around. It's not just because it's my favorite movie of all time, because even though it is, it's the best movie ever, but it has that dynamic of Batman and Joker down so well, because Batman is who he is because of the Joker. in many ways.
Yeah.
The reason Batman, like, I think a lot of his villains...
That's just as much an influence on him as his parents dying, is Joker.
Yes. Yeah, like he's lost so much because of that character. He's lost so much because of what Joker's done to him. And I think that The Dark Knight is the closest we may ever get to seeing just how troublesome, because all of Dark Knight Rises, the way, like, the first third of Dark Knight Rises is because of the Joker. Like, Batman's the way he is because the Joker turned Harvey into Two-Face. The Joker killed Rachel. The Joker did this. But my fan answer, my comic reader answer, is Batman 66. Because that in many ways, and they said this on the Weekly Planet, that in many ways is the most comic book accurate Batman.
Yeah.
And he has the same origin, he has the same villains, he has the same rules, the same model, he doesn't kill anybody, he saves the city with a bomb. But it's super, super goofy. It's super silly and zany and ridiculous.
I know that's why people listening are going to be like, that's not comic book accurate at all. It was at the time. The Batman in the comics was accurate to, in fact, they actually changed the Batman in the comics to make him more like the Adam West. That TV show actually saved the comic. Part of the reason they made the TV show was because that was a comic no one was reading, and it was cheap to get the rights to. But that show saved the comic. If it wasn't for Adam West, there'd be no Batman at all.
Yes, which is why I love Adam West on Family Guy. I think he's probably the best character on that show, is Adam West on Family Guy.
And he doesn't mind laughing at himself either, does he? That's great. You gotta love a guy like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think if you're asking what got the character down the best, then I'll go Dark Knight because of you say it's because of the Joker. I'm like, yeah, because Batman in many ways is the Joker and the Joker is Batman. But if you're asking like comic book wise, what's the most accurate? It's Batman 66 because anything from Burton to Schumacher is just no. That's too no.
Yeah.
But I'll respect your Batman Begins standpoint. Do you have one you want to ask?
Yep, on Facebook, Daniel Diaz said, DC making a Booster Gold Blue Beetle movie. Thoughts?
See, I don't know. I wouldn't say that because that's rude. I was gonna say that I in many ways kind of ignored this question because I have no idea who Booster Gold or Blue Beetle is.
You know what? It's fine because I know of them, but I think a lot of people don't know who they are.
Is that they want to do all I know is that they want to do a buddy cop movie, and the closest we've gotten to a buddy cop superhero film is Iron Man 4, and I don't want to see Iron Man 4 again because that doesn't mix with the tone of a superhero film.
Yeah.
Plus, DC really need to focus on their actual universe before trying to do something like a buddy cop film.
Well, I actually...
nothing's been confirmed.
Oh yeah, but actually, the little I do know about the character, but I listened to the Weekly Planet podcast, and they talk a bit more about it. And basically, it sounds like they're both like tech guys, and they're both kind of like funny sort of dudes. So imagine two Tony Starks in a buddy cop comedy in the DC universe. I would love to see that. I would absolutely love to see that.
But think about it. You can't have a buddy cop doesn't work with two Tony Starks. You have to have contrasting kind of personalities. So if you had maybe a Tony Stark and a Bruce Wayne, that works a lot better than having two Tony Starks.
That's what the buddy cop is. You got one that's kind of the wacky loose cannon, the other one that's more the straight man, but they work as a team in
which is
comedy.
my point.
So I don't know
which is my point.
But I do know the Blue Beetle. The one thing I know about him is there's a quote from Blue Beetle which I love and I've used it many times, and it says, Blue Beetle says, if you're not paying for something, you're not the customer, you're the product that's being sold. And I love that quote because it's so true. It's absolutely true.
Yeah, that is kind of true.
Like, you think about it, you watch TV, you're not paying to watch TV, you're not the customer. That TV network is selling you. You're the product. They're selling access to you to the advertisers. So you're not the customer. You're the product that's actually being sold there. And it's kind of the same on YouTube, Like, I sell access to my audience to the advertisers. So technically speaking, the audience are not customers.
And to add to the whole, if they do make it into a movie thing, they have Greg Berlanti working on it. And some of the big things that he's known for is Arrow, Flash. He's working on Supergirl, which is just atrocious, by the way. That pilot's just god-awful. But we'll get to that when that premieres on TV.
Supergirl, did you say?
I
thought that already came out. Didn't that come out?
It comes out October is when the pilot comes, or the first episode comes out. The pilot leaked online, which I'm not going to say that I watched it, but if I did watch it, I'll say it's terrible.
Okay, yeah. See, I didn't know. I assumed it had already come out, but I made no effort to try to find out. So that shows you my level of interest in it.
I'd like to talk about it on the show. I'd like the pilot whenever it does come out. But that's beyond the point.
Well, tell me, theoretically, would it happen to still be online? I mean, I know, of course, you didn't watch it online, but if I wanted to go find it, would I be able to?
I mean, if I were to send you a link via Skype, then theoretically, yes, I would be able to do that.
Okay.
Yes. It's online. But like Greg Berlanti, whenever he went into the film world, he did Green Lantern. So I don't have the greatest faith in Greg Berlanti. I haven't seen any of The Flash, so I can't speak for The Flash, but I've seen 3 episodes of Arrow. Not a fan. I've seen the pilot of Supergirl. Not a fan. Not a fan of Green Lantern. I'm not sure I want Greg Berlanti in this DC cinematic universe. So
sure.
That's my
point. Hang on. Just give me a sec. I'll just be right back.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. This is the Bandit Has to Pee portion of the show. I'm not sure if he's still recording. Let's see. How's everyone going? Let's see. I'm going to go on my Instagram. He's going to cut all this out, so I'm just going to start rambling. I'm going to go on my Facebook page and see what's on Facebook. Let's see. Oh, there's another girl posting inappropriate pictures of herself. That's a bloody shame. She's in the 8th grade. This world needs better people. Let's see. Oh, there's my sister being awesome as usual. That's funny. That's funny. I gotta take a screenshot of that. That's funny. Okay. And let's see here. Oh, Jesus. That's good. DC and filmmakers disappeared. Oh, that's Blair Witch. Are you back?
Okay, I'm back.
I just saw a really funny picture. I pulled a Weekly Planet and started going to my Facebook page and just reading off things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you were still recording or not, so I made.
Yeah, I was still recording. So
I see this really funny picture, and it says, "Everybody gives Michael Bay crap for milking franchises," and then it's just a picture of a Land Before Time and says, "Just remember, this has 14 movies." And I'm like, that's so true. Land Before Time does have 14 movies. In fact, I've seen like 10 of those, which is that just made my evening. Yeah, so I'm not into the whole Booster Gold kind of thing.
You're not interested to see like a more comedic DC movie?
No.
Really?
No, because I would love to see this in like 10 years. But right now, I want to make sure we can get a good Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, Green Lantern, and a Superman movie that everyone's going to like, or most people are going to like. I want a Superman movie that's going to have the same reception as Iron Man 1 did. I want good DC movies from the universe we already established. I don't want them to have to go in and try to shoehorn a different tone into what has already been established, because Suicide Squad looks great, Dawn of Justice looks great, and that's from the tone we've already have, and to try and say, well, let's make this one a funny buddy cop film, like, well, no, don't do that yet, establish a tone first. That's why Marvel works, because they can do Winter Soldier or Ant-Man or Guardians because they've already have a set tone for it. You see what I'm saying?
So you want them to get the core characters right before they move out to smaller ones, but doesn't it also mean, like, you want them to have a set tone, but shouldn't the tone be different for each character?
Well,
so,
no,
like, it's okay to have a serious Batman movie and a funny Booster Gold Blue Beetle movie.
Well, I mean, when I say a set tone, I mean like a set, like it's like, how the Marvel films have a set tone to them. They all have kind of a fun, adventurous tone to them. And you can still do like a darker film like Winter Soldier or a space opera like Guardians or a heist film like Ant-Man, but they all still have that same feel of a Marvel movie. I want DC to establish what their flavor is, what their feel is, before they introduce contrasting.
I don't think Marvel has a monopoly on comedy in superhero movies, because their kind of humor is very specific. There's lots of different ways you can do comedy.
I'm not saying they do.
Step Brothers and Shaun of the Dead are very different types of humor, but they're both awesome.
They're both great movies.
Anchorman and Monty Python, very different
Marvel
styles, but both funny as hell.
just a scratch, my love. Just a scratch. I'm not saying that they don't. You like that?
You got two coconuts and you're bagging them together.
The coconuts, yeah. I was about to say the coconuts. I'm not saying that like Marvel has monopoly in having a fun tone, but I'm saying DC has an established style that I think they need to put in other movies first. Because if you have Man of Steel, and then you have Dawn of Justice, and then Suicide Squad, and then a Booster Gold movie, like, I don't like that. It's going to be such a shift, and then we're going to get Wonder Woman with the established dark character. That's Wonder Woman, and then we're getting Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, you see where I'm getting at? Like,
yeah, I understand.
DC has a set style that yeah.
But you remember, like, I think the last podcast, or maybe the one before, I went off on this massive rant about I don't like that they're focusing on Batman so much, and they should expand out and experiment with different characters. So this is what I want. This is what I want them to do more stuff like this.
I want this later. These guys are totally different to Batman.
Good.
Because if you say that, okay, we're gonna make this movie about these two Tony Stark-esque guys in the same universe that Superman and Batman exists, I want the world to like the DC cinematic universe first, because my friends, as far as I'm concerned, my friend, with the exception of maybe Thomas, does not like Man of Steel. Most of the internet does not like Man of Steel.
True.
Half of the critics does not like Man of Steel. The entire internet, with the exception of like a few people, are still so skeptical about Dawn of Justice. Don't even get me started on Jared Leto's Joker. This needs to be established first.
Yeah. That
the world likes DC again, because Dark Knight Rises really killed a lot of DC's thunder. We had Green Lantern, then Dark Knight Rises, and then Man of Steel. That's three either mixed to terrible received movies.
Okay. This is the reverse of last time, because now it's my turn to be devil's advocate. But see, we don't yet know what the tone of this universe is going to be. We don't know what the tone of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle might be. It could be comedy still fitting in with, like, Dawn of Justice and Suicide Squad, quite different, but in tone they do seem to be in the same universe. So it's logical.
Do either of those look like Lethal Weapon or 21 Jump Street?
No, but if they do make a Lethal Weapon or 21 Jump Street, it will look like that. See, I'm just being devil's advocate.
Yes, but I
agree with you. It seems like a jump.
I completely understand.
It does seem like a jump. Yeah.
I would love to see this movie. I want to see it later. I don't want to. They don't need to be thinking about that right now. Like, that's not where their mindset should be. This is like Sony trying to do a Amazing Spider-Man 4 before 2 comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they need to make sure they know what they're doing first.
I agree with you. They do need to get the core characters right before they expand out. That's what Marvel didn't start making Ant-Man before they had the Avengers together. And that's the way it should be, you know.
Exactly.
You don't get Doctor Strange
Exactly.
before you
We
get
didn't
Thor.
we didn't get Guardians of the Galaxy after the Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like,
That would have blown
give it,
people's
like, give it,
minds,
like,
wouldn't
6
it? Yeah.
Yeah, like you do, like, because Guardians, like, think about it. If they did Guardians of the Galaxy after, like, Thor,
Yeah, people
or
would be like,
Captain America:
"What
First
is
Avenger,
this?" They'd be like, "This is just silly.
This is stupid. This is Green Lantern.
Yes,
This is Green Lantern. Like it's, it would have been a
That's
great
right.
movie, but it would have been, they need to wait."
Well,
Okay.
I got to say, for two guys
you
who
go
kind
and
of
move
didn't
on.
know who Blue Beetle and Booster Gold are, I'm now really interested to see how this is going to unfold. I'll be following this news.
Oh yeah, me too. Give it. I want to see how this goes in a few months and see if Greg Berlanti actually is going to make another shift over the movie war, because I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Connor Dalton on the Facebook page. Connor Dalton asks, "Best films yet to come out this year." I think
Well,
that means like
Force
what
Awakens,
films
right?
that have yet to come out. Yeah,
it's gotta be.
dude, like, I mean, if we Force Awakens looks just.
What else is there for the rest of the year? I mean, there's Spectre, which probably isn't going to be
I
that
mean,
great. I think we've had
Really?
most of the big
I think
ones
Spectre's
already.
going to be great.
You think so?
Well, The Martian's coming out in a week. But we'll get to The Martian. But like, no, Spectre, I think, especially, I think the Bond songs, they're not important to the film, but I think they definitely set the tone of what the movie's going to be like.
Sure.
And Sam Smith's song really gets me an excited feeling. 'Cause I'm like, we may be getting another love story, but we also have this big bombastic epic tone to it. Plus, Sam Mendes is a really competent director, and I really love Skyfall. And I think a lot of the script issues are with Neil Purvis and Robert Wade, who I don't think they're back for this next one. I could be wrong, but I think it's just John Logan who they brought on for Skyfall.
Sure.
And I think Daniel Craig's great as always. They've got Hoyt Van Hoytema doing the cinematography, who was the cinematographer for Her in Interstellar. They have all the right things here. They're bringing Bond back to the Alps. They have Q, Moneypenny M. I think this could be a really great movie. I'm really excited for it. But The Martian looks great too.
Yeah. Sure.
The Martian looks great. Are you interested in the Peanuts movie? Did you know about they're making the Peanuts movie?
No, I've never been interested in that.
Really? Like Charlie Brown and all those guys?
Never read it. Never looked never looked at the comics in the paper
What?
or whatever. No
Are you
interest
kidding
whatsoever.
me? That's like, come on, that's great. Geez, to grow a heart.
I don't even know. Like, I don't even know
the
name of the. It's the guy. It's the kid and the dog, isn't it? Which one is called Peanut?
Charlie Brown and Snoopy. No,
Is that
not
Peanut, or is that
none of them are
something
called
else?
Peanuts. No, none of them are called. No, it's Peanuts, but none of them are called Peanuts.
Then why is it called?
It's like the name of the group. I don't listen. Okay.
Okay.
Why is there a 2-meter wide hole in the Death Star? Okay.
Well, I'm definitely not looking forward to that movie. I don't even know what it is.
Never mind. I'm sorry. Okay, that's Steve Jobs. The Danny Boyle, Aaron Sorkin, Fassbender pick on Steve Jobs. I think that was great.
But they're all small
I'm excited
potatoes
for that.
next to Force Awakens, right? Like that's the next big thing.
Yeah,
in the
man.
movie.
I mean, we
For
got
the rest of the
we
year.
got another Spielberg film coming out. We got another Spielberg one with the Bridge of Spies.
Oh yeah,
we've got
looking
some
forward
other
to
good
that,
ones besides. Bryan Cranston's got a new film coming out about writers in the 50s about making movies. We got Creed, the next Rocky film. Creed,
Oh,
which looks great.
Southpaw was great. Creed can't do anything better than what Southpaw
I haven't seen Southpaw, but
Yeah.
dude, have you seen Fruitvale Station? The Ryan Coogler film, Fruitvale Station.
Nope.
It's great. Watch Fruitvale. It's on Netflix. Watch Fruitvale Station, and good
5
dinosaur.
second
Another
review of
Pixar
Southpaw.
film.
It's probably the Rocky movie that we should have got. End review.
Oh.
5 second review of Southpaw. It's
Oh,
really good. Yeah.
excuse me.
Anyway,
Oh, and Bloody in the Heart of the Sea, the Ron Howard film about the true story that inspired Moby Dick.
what?
I've been looking forward to this film.
These are all
You haven't-
movies coming
what?
out for the rest of this year. I've never even heard of half of these.
Yes.
What?
Come on, man. You gotta be on the ball, Bandit. Come on, gotta get on the ball.
Yeah, but
But that,
come
that
on.
is
I
true.
mean, the
None of
question
this
is,
expires-
what's the next
expires.
big movie of the year you're looking for? It's Force Awakens. Everything else
Yes,
is nothing by comparison.
But
None of
you-
these mean anything next
I
to
gotta
that.
go. I gotta go to the movies before December, dude. I gotta keep going. So before I go see the epic I can't wait to sit in that theater. Just like those people that saw Phantom Menace. And whenever Star Wars pops up, it's just I'm gonna cry, man. It's gonna be great. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too.
But Force Awakens does look great. Thank you, Connor, for the question. Let's see. Do I have another one?
I've got one here. From
all right, go ahead.
Mitchell McCurry. Thoughts on Internal Affairs versus The Department? Not movie related. I think.
I've not seen.
Like, is he talking about a TV show, or is he talking about in real life in the police department versus Internal Affairs?
No. Internal. The Departed is a remake of an Asian film called Internal Affairs.
Oh, I thought he was being funny and he was using like a real world event. It's like, tell us where do you stand on this issue? And I was like, okay, that'd be funny.
The Departed is based off a trilogy of films. The first one.
Okay, all right, got it.
Yeah.
Have you seen?
So I
Internal
haven't
Affairs?
seen that Asian trilogy. No, I've not seen Internal Affairs, but I have seen The Departed, and The Departed is great.
The Departed is fantastic.
The Departed's great. Like Damon's great, Wahlberg's great.
Yeah. I haven't even seen Internal Affairs, but I can say with confidence, it's better than that. That's how good The Departed is. Jack Nicholson, come on.
Because there's a conversation between
DiCaprio, come on.
Between Wahlberg and Baldwin. Whenever Baldwin and Wahlberg are talking, he's like, go F your mother. She's too busy effing my father. And I'm like, it's that snappy Scorsese dialogue that really, I think, ties his stories together.
Charlie Sheen's dad gets thrown off the roof. It's great. It's fantastic.
Oh my god. And whenever the elevator opens and Leo just gets capped.
Oh yeah,
and
that was great.
Blood spatters on the wall. And you think Damon gets away from it, and then you see Mark Wahlberg show up, and Damon's just like,
in the face.
"Okay, all right, yeah, dude." And it's good. It's a good movie. I don't think it's better than Wolf of Wall Street, but I think it's definitely up there with Scorsese's best.
I could write Internal Affairs as one of my homework assignments, but I'm not going to.
You have a lot of other films you need to watch first.
I've already got Tomorrowland and 21 Jump Street. And 22 Jump Street to watch.
You should just watch this. Just watch 22 Jump Street. I think it's better than the first one.
Okay.
But that's just my opinion.
No, I'll watch both of them.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I think
that's up to you, man.
I think that's pretty much it. Did you have any more you wanted to? I think we've covered all of them. I mean, some of the
questions.
Yeah, I think we've covered them all. Some of them we've already covered in previous things. Which means next week we can ask for new ones. Yay!
Yes. All right. So thank you all for watching. This was a wonderful podcast. Check us out. Come back next week where we will be talking The Martian and any of the movies that has been released. Banjo, where can the people find you?
The people can find me on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter as Bandit Incorporated. And they can find you...
They can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at podcast. Excuse me?
You got it this week. Last couple of ones you forgot to mention your own stuff. Yeah.
So excited. Yeah, they can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Podcast Media. That Skype picked that up because last time my Skype cut out Podcast Media. So it's at Podcast Media.
Also, please give us a rating and a review on iTunes. Hopefully a nice one, but of course...
we can ask for that now.
Hopefully a nice one, but of course, be honest, it will help us to make improvements.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I will be getting a mic soon, so if you hear scraping, it's from my headphones hitting my chest. I apologize. Catch you all next week when we see The Martian. We'll see you all later on Movie Maniacs.
See you later. Bye.